The debate over returning tolls to Connecticut is heating up. Right now on Face the State, you'll hear from both sides. The leader of No Tolls Connecticut, Patrick Sasser, and the head of Move Connecticut Forward, Don Shubert. Lawmakers will also weigh in. State Representative Jason Doucette, a Democrat, and Cara Pavolak-D'Amato, a Republican. We'll also get their take on Governor Lamont's budget and his agenda. Plus, a Connecticut legend who brought Barney to the national stage is with us today, Jerry Franklin, on his legacy. It's all straight ahead this Sunday, May 5th, 2019.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
Good morning, everyone. It's 8:30. Welcome to Face the State. I'm Dennis House. Thanks for joining us. The hottest issue in Connecticut right now, tolls. Are they coming back? There's a big debate going on right now at the Capitol about it. With us today to talk about this, both sides of the issue, we are joined by Don Shubert. He is from Move Connecticut Forward. They are in favor of bringing back tolls to our state. Patrick Sasser of No Tolls Connecticut, the title of your organization speaks for itself. You are against tolls. And I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Shubert. Why does Connecticut need tolls?
Well, Dennis, we've been looking at the Special Transportation Fund for years. And as you know, in 2017, the Special Transportation Fund had a revenue shortfall. And the legislature enacted a short-term fix to try to provide some additional revenues for 5 years. That 5-year revenue fix is going to run out sooner or later. And I think everybody agrees on two things. Number one, Connecticut needs a significant investment in transportation in Connecticut. Most of the estimates are running somewhere around, at least an additional $700 million to $1 billion a year for the next 30 years just to maintain what we have in Connecticut. So we're looking at what is Connecticut going to be able to do 5 years from now to generate the additional net new revenue to support the Special Transportation Fund in the future.
And Mr. Sasser, you do not agree. You do not believe we need tolls.
Absolutely not.
What's the argument against them?
Well, many things. The first thing is tolls are a tax. The Connecticut residents are already taxed to death in this state. We're ranked the second highest tax state in the country. I have to disagree with the facts about the Special Transportation Fund. Every year, lawmakers are constantly diverting money before it even gets into that Special Transportation Fund, and that's why we're in this problem now. If you look at the governor's budget that he's proposed for this year, he's already looking to take money that's from car sales tax and diverting that money before it even goes to the Special Transportation Fund. We're creating that crisis. Tolls are not the answer.
Are the roads and bridges that much better in states with tolls? Some would argue they go to New York and they pay a lot of money. It's at $15 to cross the RFK Bridge, and people say the roads there are worse than here.
Well, if you look at a lot of the national statistics over the last 5 or 10 years, Connecticut regularly ranks lower than a lot of states as far as the conditions of the roads and bridges. But you have to think about this. Over 1 million motorists a day travel over a structurally deficient bridge in Connecticut. Over 1 million. And it's not just roads and just the roads and the road bridges that the motorists are going over. There's 4 bridges on the Metro North line that are over 100 years old. And to fix those bridges, it's going to cost somewhere between $500 million to $1 billion a piece. So there's a lot of unmet needs out there. We're getting ready. ConnDOT's been running around now for several years patching bridges, and all those bridges are going to come due in 5 or 6 years. So we're getting ready for a transportation repair tsunami in Connecticut, and we think that the state really has to be prepared 5 years from now.
We obviously don't want to have another Mianus River Bridge collapse like we had on I-95 back in the 1980s. So what is the argument? Where does the money come from to fix these bridges and roads?
I think the money's already there. The problem is it's being mismanaged. If you look at our gas tax, we pay the 7th highest gas taxes in the country. We pay car sales tax. We pay all these taxes that are supposed to go to our transportation projects. Use that money the way it's intended to be. The residents of Connecticut voted on a lockbox. Let that money go to work. Let it do what it's intended to do. These tolls that the governor's proposing and these lawmakers are supporting, you won't see revenue from those tolls until 5, 6 years from now, until those tolls are built. So that's, if we're in such a dire need for road repair and bridge repair, then we should be funding these projects now.
Yeah, I think Patrick makes an interesting comment there. The Special Transportation Fund was originally designed to pay debt service after the Mianus River Bridge. on a program to repair bridges in Connecticut. Over the last 8 years, the Special Transportation Fund has basically been converted into an operating account. Operating expenses in the STF are now 60%. And if you look at debt service, it's actually lower now than it was 10 years ago. And that debt service is not only paying for roads and bridges, it's also paying for rolling stock for transit facilities and things like that. So the Special Transportation Fund that was originally set up to fix roads and bridges now is doing a whole constellation of different things now, and less of that money is available for its core purpose.
For those who are opposed to tolls, is there any room for compromise, perhaps limiting the number of them? Right now there's a call for 50 of them, 4 cents a mile. Sure. Is there any argument that maybe we need some tolls?
No, my stance is zero tolls.
Zero tolls.
My concern is once you open Pandora's box and you allow tolls into Connecticut, they will act as a money tree. We've been down this road with the lottery, casinos, state income tax was going to fix Connecticut. The new narrative is now tolls. The trust has been broken. The taxpayers can't afford another penny in this state. Tolls are not the answer.
If you look at some of the polls out there, it does show that most people are against tolls. Certainly on social media, people are voicing their opinion against them. How do you get lawmakers to pass tolls when perhaps the people don't want them?
I think the lawmakers right now have 3 options. The first option is to do nothing. The second option is to bond your way out of this using general obligation bonds. Now, the Special Transportation Fund was set up to pay debt service on special tax obligation bonds, which actually get a better rate than general obligation bonds in the general fund. But one option is to use general obligation bonds from the general fund that are going to other things and move those over to transportation. And the third option is net new revenue, which is tolls. And you know, when you think about tolls, you have to think, you know, it's the only option we have seen where the Connecticut taxpayers are not going to be on the hook for 100%. Out-of-state travelers right now drive through Connecticut, and there's estimates between 30% or 40% of the tolls are going to be paid for by out-of-state drivers and things like that. But right now, they're getting a free ride. And we're looking for a little bit of fairness there where the out-of-state drivers are actually paying their fair share.
Mr. Sasser, your group's certainly been out there. You're very vocal on TV. You're at these protests and things like that. Yet there's a Democratic governor and a Democratic General Assembly. So do you think you can actually defeat tolls?
I think we can, absolutely.
What's the strategy?
Well, several things. One, we have almost 100,000 signatures on our online petition. Almost 7,000 people submitted written testimony against these tolls. 18 towns and cities throughout Connecticut have passed anti-toll resolutions. We've had almost 30 protests throughout the state. We have another big one coming up on May 18th at the Capitol. People are extremely outspoken against these tolls. So I think it's in the governor's best interest to start listening to the taxpayers of Connecticut, and same with the lawmakers, because their next election is coming up next year. And I tell you, if they vote this way and they put in these tolls, it's going to affect the people, the working class in this state. That can affect the outcome of elections next year.
Patrick Sasser from No Tolls Connecticut and Don Shubert from Move Connecticut Forward. We thank you both for being on the program this Sunday. And we would like to know what you think. Do you support tolls, yes or no? Go to the WFSB Facebook page right now and vote in our poll. Also, we invite you to watch past editions of Face the State on our YouTube channel or the Channel 3 app. And we'll be back with more on tolls in just a moment.